let's get started. My name's Debbie Smith, and I am the manager of the Environmental Services Division, and I couldn't be happier to lead off. In December of 1998, can you believe it? Brad Gamble, the former utilities director and city manager, tasked me to be the project manager of the first hazardous waste event, which was in April of '99. Little did I know that I'd be doing that for 20 years, or over 20 years. And we've only had one postponement, and that was due to a tornado in April, of all things. You know, tornadoes in Oklahoma in the spring, so who would have thought we'd only had one? But anyway, throughout the years, we've had tremendous support from our former utility director, Ken Comiskey, and now our current utility director, Chris Mattingly. I know he's excited for this too. There's so many people to thank, and I can't possibly thank all of them, but I do want to thank Nathan Maidenwald for I don't see him, the facility manager for this, the project manager, and Brett Scoville, who's helping fund this. My budget wouldn't do that. And then the environmental services staff, Paul, Jerry, Deborah, and all of the volunteers that have helped over the years. We couldn't have done this without the volunteers. There's definitely a need. Evidenced partly by the number of calls I get. We average a call every day on how do I dispose of this waste, and there aren't many options for people. It's hard to tell them, say, I'm sorry, we can't help you, or if you want to hold on to it, we have 5 hours once a year that we can dispose of it. And there's one day a year is a problem. You have 5 hours, we unload 3 to 4 vehicles a minute every minute of that 5 hours. I want to apologize for the long lines we have, but we are doing our best to get people through. And people are usually very, very patient. They understand that we're doing our best. We don't want to keep our citizens, we want to keep our citizens safe at home. And this, by keeping these chemicals in the products at home, it increases the risk of exposure to pets and kids and the environment and the water and the soil and the trash. But there aren't options right now, except for our 5 hours a year. From the first day in 1999, we have stressed using safer alternatives or using less stuff. I think there's a slogan that's use less stuff, and it's perfect. Proper disposal is not our goal. It's extremely important, but our goal is to use less stuff. Don't create the waste in the first place. So, it is my honor to announce our speakers, and our first speaker is a good friend of mine, Dr. Thompsonby, which I probably mispronounced. But I also want to mention that he has helped. He is a chief engineer of the Department of Environmental Quality, and he has actually volunteered for us several years, often with your daughters and your wife.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Debbie, thank you so much. Yeah. Folks, it's a great pleasure to be here today. And as a longtime DEQ employee, and also as someone who's lived in Norman for decades, I want to thank Debbie and Brett and the rest of the folks who were instrumental in making to get us to where we are right now. I mean, this is great. I am so extremely proud of you, and I'm so proud to be a resident of Norman. Norman, for years and years, has been in the forefront of environmental protection, and from you guys were the first city to ever have a compost facility, the first city to ever think about water reuse, potable water reuse in a serious way, and now you're adding a household hazardous waste collection center, and this is truly wonderful. There's no need to explain why this is such an achievement for the environment. We all know that household hazardous waste, if we don't have facilities like this, will end up together with the trash in landfills that may not be necessarily equipped to handle it. The waste can get into groundwater, the waste can be blown by wind and expose our citizens to hazardous constituents. But when you get all of it together and dispose of it and collect it together in a location like this, you're going to minimize the impact to the environment and to the health and safety of our citizens. So this is wonderful, wonderful. And I like dealing with waste, but Debbie said that I have brought my family members, my daughters and my wife to participate in the collection efforts that we've had. My daughters were very happy to do it because they were getting credit for school, but then I conned my wife into coming here. If I had told her it was a household hazardous waste event, she would never come. So I told her that the city of Norman is having a pizza party on Friday. So let's go there to the pizza party. She said, oh, okay, let's go. And then she realized when Debbie was making the presentation what this was all about. So, but then nevertheless she participated, didn't touch a single hazardous waste, did the surveys, but she loved it. Anyway, thank you again. I cannot express how pleased I am with this development here. Thank you, folks.
Our next speaker is Councilmember Holman, and I want to thank you for supporting this over the years, and also to make people aware that all the other environmental events you've helped us with and supported. He's been our MC for Earth Day, the Earth Day Festival, for I don't know how many years and years. But he is councilman for Ward 7, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Debbie, and all of you for being here. I've hosted Earth Day for 8 years, actually, ever since I first got elected. It's always held at Reeves Park, which is in Ward 7, which I represent. This is also in Ward 7, and so I've always been very proud of the fact that that these facilities that service so many people that are so vital to our city are in my ward. This is actually one of my favorite parts of Norman down here. And if you drive just a half-mile down that road, you'll end up in an area that looks like you are in the middle of nowhere, that you wouldn't think that you're next to the third largest city in the state. And so I've always very much enjoyed this area, and I always like to brag about these facilities being down here and the improvements that we've made, not only to the water reclamation facility, to the MRF over here. I think that's still the name, the MRF, and now this facility. One of the most common questions I receive, and it was mentioned at City Hall that we're answering calls daily about this. One of the most common emails that I have received over the years from citizens is, what can I do with these chemicals, these cleaning stuff, household hazardous waste materials? And I agree, telling them that, well, we have an event coming up, once a year, and we have, only a few hours, and you might have to wait in line, and all those types of things can be difficult to get people to commit to that. And so I absolutely agree. We need to use less stuff. The reduce, reuse, refuse, all those things before we talk about recycling and other things like that. So trying to use less stuff, trying to have a less impact environmentally in our community. And that one of the things I have also always bragged about Norman is the leadership that our city has shown for decades when it comes to leading the way in the state of Oklahoma for environmental policy. And so it's something to be very proud of, I think, for our city. And we have set an example for other cities in Oklahoma and surrounding states to follow. So I'm excited about this. I, again, really appreciate all of you for being here. And I'm really looking forward to getting this facility built and start serving the citizens of our community. Thank you very much.
Our final speaker is Mayor Clark, and I want to thank you for letting this happen. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do this. And I also want to thank you personally for all you do to make Norman a safer and better place.
You know, so often the elected officials get all the credit, but neither Stephen nor myself were here for decades. I'm looking at the hardworking people that have been here for decades and that have actually made this happen. Yeah, we take the votes and hopefully we communicate to residents, but is your work and your vision and also the dedication of residents who do not let these things go away and stay under the radar to make this happen. So thank you for recognizing us, but I'm sure Councilmember Holman joins me in thanking all of you for making this happen today. Well, welcome. I'm excited for the big moment. This facility will provide a year-round option for residents to safely and conveniently dispose of household hazardous items, and the safe disposal is key. I love that Debbie mentioned keeping pets and children safe, but we also want to keep our environment safe. And so, as it's been mentioned, the event has been going on for decades. I believe 1999 was the first year, and you got to have some good stats from over 20 years of an event, and I do have some for you today. We have collected over 2.2 million pounds of waste. Million! That's so exciting. We've collected over 34,000 tires between the events and the transfer station here. Not only do we collect paint, but we've actually reused a fair amount of it. And we've also collected over 460,000 pounds of electronics, comprised mostly of computers and television. So how about all that waste we've kept out of landfills? Congratulations, everyone. Thank you, city staff. Thank you, Norman residents, for waiting in that line. I, too, have volunteered at that. And unfortunately, it was a very, very cold event. But it was great to see it in action, and it's very well organized. And there are so many people that we have to thank for the 20-year success of that event, but also what we're about to do today. Obviously, the Department of Environmental Quality, not only have you guided us, but you provided grants, which we all know that it all comes down to the almighty dollar. And so without your financial support, many of this would not be possible. So thank you very much. Obviously, current and past city council members and that have helped lay the groundwork, but as I touched on, the Environmental Control Advisory Board for their support and educational efforts. The University of Oklahoma for letting us use Lloyd Noble. The parking lot is quite good for that. Also, police and fire, they've done a great job of providing assistance at that event. Tri-City Metals for collecting metal appliances at those events. Compton's Heat and Air for removing Freon from appliances. So much goes into the safe disposal of these appliances. Norman Public Schools and all the volunteers and supporters throughout the community, but also Studio Architecture for helping us take this next step in creating a safe environment for safe disposal. Today is a wonderful day for the city of Norman and its environment. But what's even better is the future, because we are going to be able to provide better services and, again, safe disposal of these household hazardous items. So enough talking. Let's get to the digging. If you know that you're taking a shovel, come on up, please.